final thought, as we've completed our final Amidah and the gates are closing. When I was a kid, sitting through long high holiday services, one of the things that I did to amuse myself was to flip through the Machzor, searching for the different names of God. I don't mean that I would count how many Adonais or how many Elohims there were on a given page. I mean that I would scour the English translations of the prayers, immersed in the poetry, looking at how all the different attributes of God would be incorporated into God's name. It was like God had a whole list of titles or roles or jobs that were invoked at different times and places in the service. Just last night, in fact, Kol Nidre, in the Slichot section of the service, we davened a whole list of metaphors, naming ourselves as different raw materials in the hand of the Creator. We had different roles to play, as clay, iron, glass, and cloth, in the hands of God the artisan, who molds us into becoming our very own works of art. That prayer, in the English, also gives God numerous different names, including guardian of love, support of the poor, pardoner of sin and transgression, healer of wounds, and good and forgiving God. I think very often about the opening line of the Avot section of the Amidah, where we bless God as Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov. We don't just say one God, the same God, for all the patriarchs and all the matriarchs collectively. Because God was to Abraham differently as God was to Jacob. God was to Sarah differently than God was to Rachel. The fact is that our liturgy is written in this way to give us all permission to have Elohei ourselves. As we attempt to elevate our spirit to address God, each person can use whatever names for the divine that they see fit. One of my all-time favorite writers encapsulates this idea exactly in the famous line, "What's in a name? A rose by any other name would smell as sweet." The name is the way in and gives us each a way to address Hashem, the name, however we so choose. I love this element of our tefillah, that through all of these different names, we each may have our own understanding, our own inroad, our own understanding of God for ourselves. In the coming year, let us think about names. The names for God and the names that we make for ourselves. May the names and the words of our mouth be more than acceptable. May they be meaningful, significant, and individually inspiring. Gemar Chatima Tova.